welcome. This is Diego Accord here and the Rambling of a Board Guy. So today, what I'm going to talk about is PC gaming. And you know, it's something that's kind of hard to be into right now, depending on who you are and how lucky you are. There's a number of factors. And the main reason is because of GPUs. You know, there's a shortage of GPUs out there for the current generation GPUs. There are some stock. There is some stock of certain models, but due to pricing, these models are not really desirable. So currently you got Nvidia 3000 series and AMD 6000 series as far as the GPUs, and you know, I'd say the most sought after of all GPUs is the 3080. And you know, AMD finally, you know, they've got competitive in things that are not ray trace based. So rasterization, just straight out raw performance, and they do have some compelling arguments to get their GPUs. But you know, when it comes to a game that's, you know, got a lot of ray tracing, heavily featured, you know, that'll be what you want the Nvidia card for. So I mean, I'm not telling anybody anything that they don't know, but you know, the problem right now with the prices, the scalping, and all that stuff is that it's really not helping AMD get into the race. Now they have one GPU that's the most sought after of their stack, which, like Nvidia 3080, AMD 6800 XT is the most sought after of their stack, and that's the, you know, that's the GPU competitor. Now, in order to also compete, AMD's prices have to be a little bit lower because, you know, samesies for samesies. I mean, you know, a card on the same level, so, you know, we're like 6700 against 3070, 68 XT versus 3080, 69 versus 3090. You know, like, if it's an AMD sponsored game or whatever, maybe even some other outliers, that game will probably perform better, you know, perform better on the AMD card, but for the most part, you still get more frames in most games on Nvidia. And, you know, I mean, they've got the drivers, they got, you know, they've got what you need to know that your experience is probably going to be a one. But the problem with the AMD cards is the pricing. So, like I said, they need to be competitive, but the AIBs have priced AMD cards out of being competitive. So you've got 6700s, which are supposed to be cards that are comparable to 3070s and stuff. You've got those priced at like $1,000, and you can get a 3080 for under $1,000. If you get an EVGA card, you can get one for under $1,000, and the ones that are priced higher are just right over $1,000. And performance between 6700 and 3080 is a pretty good difference. So that the AIBs are kind of killing AMD cards right now. So anyway, as far as gaming, PC gaming, I'm not gonna call myself a PC gamer. I play games on PC, but I play console games, basically console games on PC, and I believe, I'm gonna say this, and that is that if there were no consoles, there would not be any games on PC worth playing. Because, you know, I've been aware of PC gaming ever since, at least, you know, I mean, in the early 90s. Oregon Trail, and then when it came to something more, you know, like more traditional, Prince of Persia, I'm pretty sure that was on PC before it was on consoles. And that was the first game that even looked interesting. And I'm like, man, I can't play this on my Super Nintendo or Genesis, whatever I had. And I think it eventually came out. But, yeah. So then you had games like, I really wouldn't be interested in seeing PC stuff until, like, I saw modded San Andreas with, like, real cars added into it. Because even throughout the 90s and early 2000s, you know, PC games, you know, when you saw a game advertising a Game Pro or EGM or whatever, they would look boring as shit. Like, honestly, they would just look boring. Man, I don't want to fucking play that. I'll take that Donkey Kong Country. You can take that. You can have that Myst or whatever the fuck it is. You can have that shit. So that's just that's still my view, because they've gotten, you know, obviously like newer games that are like just PC games, and I'm still looking at those like, play that shit. And so after seeing like GTA with mods and like Fallout 3 with mods was the next thing that I saw. It was like, oh, and I actually, you know, I had a Power Spec PC, which was that's Micro Center's house brand. I had that thing in like 2009, 2010 or something like that. I added a graphics card to that thing, some Nvidia GT something or other, to play Fallout 3 after playing it on both consoles. And unfortunately, everything I had got stolen the week that Skyrim came out. And I did not get another PC until the one I've got now, which is also a Power Spec, or was a Power Spec. I'll talk about it in a second. But anyway, you know, Skyrim was out, and I started seeing mods on that, but at the time, buying, you know, a PC that was worthy of gaming just really wasn't, you know, wasn't feasible at that time. And I'm surprised that I was even able to buy replace the things that I replaced that day. You know, I replaced that PC with a laptop, which I've only daily, I guess you call it daily drive, only daily driven laptops since then, which I still do, despite having a gaming PC, because that gaming PC is only for gaming, nothing else. And yeah, so anyway, never got anything else until this one, but I was interested, you know, like I said, Skyrim itself, seeing the mods on that, and then, you know, GTA with the mods, GTA 5 that is, and then Fallout 4, man. So Skyrim and Fallout 4, or SC. So Skyrim and SC and Fallout 4, I was playing on Xbox for a long ass time. And I'm like, man, these games, they were what I played the most by far for a long time. So, and I decided, you know, like nothing else is coming out that's really interesting, so I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna get a computer so I can play the real deal. Like I knew that I was missing stuff, because, you know, I mean, if you look at Bethesda games with mods or whatever, you know, you got PlayStation at the very bottom. You really can't do much. Like all the mods for that is just like, you can add some trees, you can add some foliage, you can recolor things, you can rename things, restack things, and you can probably do something like add nocturnal robes as something for your player. Now, I don't remember if you can do that normally. Like if you can get those robes for your female character as a normal thing, but you know, you can probably do stuff like add Serrana's hairstyle. But, you know, maybe anybody else that has a hairstyle that you can't choose. Maybe you might be able to, like, that's as far as modding goes on PlayStation, because Sony did not allow custom assets to be put in the mods. So. And then Xbox, you are allowed to do those things. Now there's still limitations. Still a great amount of limitations on the surface. And, you know, you can play a Skyrim game on Xbox, and it can have completely non-vanilla everything to your eyes. New textures, new animations, new characters, new sounds. Everything can be replaced like it can on PC. The only thing that, I mean, graphically, you cannot, you can't do reshade. Which, I mean, that is a big deal graphically. That's the biggest thing, because on Xbox you can do textures, but since the space is limited, you know, you're not going to do like those high quality textures. You're gonna be able to do better textures than what the game came with, but yeah. So you can definitely do some stuff. And for a while there, you know, I thought that, like, since my game had changed so much, I was able to change my game so much. Like, what am I missing on PC other than, like, nude mods? Everybody freaks out over nude mods. Because even when they would show up on Xbox, everybody would just be like, oh my god, nude mod. And, you know, like, you know, I had a nude mod, and I didn't even, like, it wasn't actually a nude mod. And so I had two mods that, when they were both activated, because, you know, I noticed that I swapped character, or I took the character's stuff off to put something else on them, and then they were naked behind the screen. I'm like, I don't have any nude mods. So I went through and figured out, like, there were two mods that, when they were both activated, they caused nude bodies for the female characters. I had a follower, a specific follower, and a clothing replacer. Both had to be activated. And I posted about it, and I was getting messages, I was getting PMs for fucking years. I'm like, is it that big of a deal? Like, you're not gonna be running around naked with your character all day. So, I mean, if you go naked, you know, like, if you go nude, you don't have any stats, right? So anyway, I went ahead and got the PC, so I'm like, man, I just need to do it. I've been playing these games for like 4 or 5 years, however long they had been out. At the end of 2019, like literally the last 3 days of 2019, beginning of 2020, I guess. And, you know, I went to Micro Center to build this thing, to build a PC, and they had a setup that was on sale, way better than what I was going to build, for around the same price that I was going to pay for my parts. So this thing ended up being a 3700X with a 2070 Super. Their model for it was called a G706. And it was, yeah, you couldn't build that for the price. So 2070 Super, 3700X, X570 board, NVMe, 1 terabyte, and you know, 2 sticks of RAM, 16 gigs, 3200 speed. Where some of the, and 750 watt power supply, like, some of that shit skipped, and it was $1,300 in 2019 when those parts had just come out. Like 2070 Super was a 2019 part, so was a 3700X. So it was, yeah, it was good. Then you know, stuff started coming out, so the new consoles would be coming out in months, as well as new graphics cards and processors and shit. So I'm like, I gotta upgrade everything. The consoles were supposed to be around the level of my PC, and like I said, to me, PC is about being able to play some console games at their absolute best. So if Xbox Series X is at the level of a 2080 Super or whatever they were saying, and the processor is basically the same as a 3700X or 3800X, then that system's better than mine, and I don't have a reason to have my console, right? I don't have a reason to have my system or my PC, at least as far as a gaming PC, unless I'm only just going to play Skyrim. But no, that wasn't the case. It's like, or that wasn't the point. I wanted to be able to play some better stuff. So if there were certain games, like, you know, Cyberpunk, I had to be able to play that. I needed something better than a 2070 Super to play that. So anyway, 3,000 cards come out. I get a 3080, and then I go on an upgrade spree. You know, I swap out my motherboard, even though it's an X570. I get a better X570. I get a ROG Strix X570 board to replace the one I've got, because I want full RGB on everything. New AIO. I get the Ryzen 5800X. Like I said, 3080 RGB RAM. I upgrade the speed to 3600. Crucial ballistics. Add an extra hard drive. And everything's been swapped except for the PSU and the case. That's it. And then eventually, like 3 weeks ago, the 3080 Ti comes out, and I get one of those. And actually, what happened was, I got another 3080 originally, because, you know, I came in, they had one left, and this was after the 3080 Ti launch, but there was a 3080 left over, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen a 3080 since I bought mine in October. and I left with it. I wasn't gonna leave empty-handed. So anyway, somebody, because everybody knows about the TI and their lower hash rate to mine with, so I had somebody that was wanting to trade a TI for a base 3080, and it was for the Win 3, the one I wanted. So I got that. We did the swap, and then I put mine on eBay, and it literally just sold like 2 days ago, waiting for those funds to be in my bank, and he'll be getting his 3080. And he paid, I had this thing used, I bought it new in October, and he paid $1,800 for it. And, you know, I just put it on eBay, see where the, just see where it was going to end up, and that's where it ended up. So, you know, I mean, even if you want to get mad, you can't really get mad that I scalped anything, because I didn't buy it for that. I bought it to play Cyberpunk, which it played amazingly. But I wanted a TI because of the VRAM. I play in 4K because, you know, I also got a Series X and a PS5, and PS5 only does 4K or 1080. And, you know, I'm like, well, I gotta go 4K, so I need maximum VRAM. The systems, you know, the consoles, whatever they set the game up for, that's what it's gonna play. So I mean, it's whatever. But you know, on PC, you know, I get to make the settings, and I'm gonna choose maximum settings all the time. I'm not gonna make adjustments, because that's what the consoles are doing. Like if I want to play a game, like I bought a couple, like the last 3 games I bought on console instead of PC, even though I got a 3080 Ti, because they don't matter. Like, it's not like Cyberpunk, you had to play that shit on PC. No bones about it. Last games I bought, Guilty Gear Strive, bought that on PS5. There's no reason to get that on PC. And I also like to have physical games over digital anyway, so that's another reason that I'm gonna rock with the consoles whenever possible. And then on Xbox, I bought Resident Evil Village as well as Mass Effect. Now those are games where if you turn up everything to the maximum on PC, the difference is not going to be like crazy, because Mass Effect is still like, it's actually an Xbox One PS4 game. So running it on, you know, Series X and PS5 is just going to get you a better frame rate. So it's not like it's, you know, that game is what it is. And even on PC, it's not like it takes advantage of anything that a RX 6800 XT can do, or anything that a RTX 3080 or 3080 Ti can do. So the differences are just going to be minor things, like, oh, little shadows are a little more crisp on PC maximum, and like some stupid shit like that. Like, I'd have to be Digital Foundry getting paid to look for this shit in order to see the difference. Whereas something like Cyberpunk, you'll see that shit right away. Even if you play with that game, you just have the option slider, and you can see everything changing as you unpause. So everything will be the way it is when you pause, and then when it unpauses from the menu, you'll see everything just like rendering with the new settings that you chose. So it'll go from looking like Play-Doh, everything on low, looking like Play-Doh, to fucking magnificent, everything ultra with Psycho RT and all that shit. So anyway, though, so people, and you know, and that's where I'm at. My PC, I've got everything I can ask for. 3080 beats 3090 in gaming as well. It'll be like stuff that's non-gaming that the 3090 will shine with its 24 gigs of VRAM. And since the 3080 Ti actually beats it in gaming, that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. Gaming. And I mean, what can I do processor-wise? Like, you know, I got the 5800 because, you know, I didn't know when the 5900 or 5950X was going to be in stock. So I kind of, you know, I jumped the bullet. 5800 was there, and then, you know, maybe a month, 2 months later, something like that, now the other ones were there after that. But I'm not gonna upgrade to them now. Like, it's just not even fucking worth my time, because I didn't need to do any of the upgrades that I had after the 2080 or after the 3080. I didn't really need to do anything else, but I just redid everything. So anyway, the negative to me about PC is the people, PCMR types. So you've got PC fanboys and you've got console fanboys. Now the console fanboys, they care about the the consoles and the consoles only and the console war. Like, that's it. How their console of choice does against the other console, which is a stupid fucking thing. Like, any other shit is stupid for any reason. So you've got that, and then but the PC fanboys, they are threatened by the consoles because, especially the current consoles, PS5 and Series X, you know, on paper they beat most people's PCs. Because, see, when you're in PC-centric land, such as forums and groups and shit like that, you know, the people that have the, you know, the 2080 Ti's and 2080 Supers, 3080s, 3070, whatever, like shit like my PC, basically, they're gonna post their shit. So it's gonna seem like, oh, a lot of people say that, but no. Steam survey says otherwise. And then, you know, you'll see posts where people are like, man, I'm saving up for a 30. I want a 30 series, but I need it to be $300, or, you know, like something like that. I mean, to be as cocky as they are about how you know, like how great PC is, a lot of them just don't have PCs that, like, I would want over a console. Like, I'm looking at PS5 or you know, Xbox Series X, and you got a PC that's got like a 1060 in it or some shit with a 7700K or some shit or whatever. Like, I wouldn't want that shit over a new console, because, see, here's the thing. Some of the PC apologists, you know, because PC parts, because the GPUs are hard to find, you know, they made videos about trying to compare, like, a new console to a PC by playing some, like, old game that's actually a previous generation game. So you want to run a PS4 game on the PS5, you know, as a tech tuber or something like that. You want to run a PS4 game on a PS5 and then say that, oh, well, I mean, a 1060 can run this at these, you know, at these settings or even higher. It's like it's a PS4 game, so therefore the settings that was created for that game was created for a console that's much weaker than something like a 1060. PS4 and Xbox One came out in 2013, and everybody knew that those consoles were underpowered for that time. So, you know, they're years, technology-wise, they are years older than that. So the settings, you know, the game, you know, doesn't receive a patch that allows the devs to change, or, you know, change the settings that the game is going to play at. So you're still going to be stuck with the same levels of detail that they chose for the PlayStation 4. And, you know, loading times. You know, everybody's like, oh man, you know, the PS5 got the fast load, and, you know, so does Series X with, you know, because they both have NVMe. And then, and the PS5 is technically the fastest thing, you know, the fastest loading machine out of everything. Anybody's PC, it can't load faster than the PS5 right now. But when some game doesn't take advantage of it, like, PC fanboys get all stupid about it. Like, yeah, that PS4 game on the PS5 looks worse than a 1060 playing that same game on PC, and it loaded slower than the PC. You know, just, you know, it's not like it's using the HDD protocols for read and write, or the PS4 graphical settings, and like, it's stupid. And then when they, you know, when anybody that does accept that their PC is like shitty, they'll still use the line that, well, I mean, I could do more than you can do on a console. But I'm like, I got a $130 laptop, and all that other stuff that you do, that you're talking about, that you can't do on a console, I do on that. Like, I would rather have a fucking console and a cheap-ass laptop. I'd rather just have one of those rather than a mediocre-ass PC. Because, see, here's the thing. It's like, even if you compare, like, a game that's even newer, to the consoles. It's stupid that they did this, but you know, Sony especially, they locked things to fucking 4K. And I know it's because people, you know, well, Sony specifically want to sell those fucking stupid ass TVs. I don't game on a fucking TV. I'm not gonna game on a TV. But they want to sell 4K TVs, and you know, they know that people just game on, or you know, people with consoles typically just game on fucking TV. So that's why they just 4K. Now they can have better settings by just normalizing 1440, and that's what people do with PC. They go 1440, and then you know, of course, well, yeah, I mean, I run this game at 1440 on maximum everything at 1440 at 60 frames per second. Console, I mean, it does 4K 60, but they turned down some settings. I'm like, you know, because it's at 4K, I'm like, you put your graphics card, you set your, you know, you set your internal, even if you just want to set the internal resolution to 4K and see what it does to your frame rate. It's going to be less than the console depending on what graphics card you got. If you don't have a 2070 Super or 2080 or something like that, probably more than that, because consoles just get ridiculous amounts of optimization. Because I mean, there's games, I mean, you look at the later games on PS3 and even games that are on PS4, like, you know, especially, you know, with the Sony games, like, you would need a much more powerful PC. Like, games that are games on PS4, PS3, even, you know, 360 and Xbox One, that, like, a fucking PC that had the specs of those systems could not fucking even think about running that game. Optimizations matter. PC people try to pretend that they don't, but I mean, that's why you got like The Last of Us or something like that. I don't care about the fucking game, but think about what, you know, the PlayStation 3, what that's comparable to, and try to run that shit on a PC that's comparable to that. It's not gonna happen. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. And then, you know, like I said, unfortunately, you know, devs are like, 4K. That's the move that the console makers want, which doesn't allow you to, you know, have the optimal frame rate. Because I mean, people with, like, I got a fucking 3080 Ti. I would rather have 1440p and have some more frame rate, rather than having to go 60, but I have everything connected to the same monitor. And you know, I don't want to see, like, you know, PlayStation 5 in 4K, and then I've got the Series X and the PC at 1440. Now, because if that shit's just like next to each other, it's probably gonna look fucking ugly. Like, I had 1440p for a brief moment when, you know, I was going after the systems. I didn't know I was going to get the systems. I already had the 3080. I was playing Cyberpunk and shit. But I did not know I was going to get the consoles. You know, I got them. I mean, I got to end up getting the PlayStation at launch and the Xbox at Black Friday. And when I got the PlayStation, I got first, obviously. And I knew that I needed to go 4K. So, you know, I went 4K on it. I took it back because I had recently bought the monitor, so I took it back to Micro Center and went with a 4K 60. Because, like I said, and it's also just 60 because, you know, I'm still, no matter what, I'm turning graphics all the way up on the PC games. I don't care what it does to the fucking frame rate. I was playing Cyberpunk 4K Ultra everything, and that shit was anywhere from, you know, 60 to 35 frames per second. I didn't care. I'm like, if I wanted to play it with optimizations graphically, like with graphical optimizations, I would have just fucking played it on the console. And that's, to me, that's what PC is about, playing certain games at their best fidelity, if it matters. Like some games, like I mentioned, like the Guilty Gear, doesn't matter. That game's not going to look any different on anything else. Mass Effect, Resident Evil, it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure that, like, the differences are so minute, you'd have to be looking at it like your Digital Foundry. you know, Starfield comes out. Obviously, I gotta get that on PC, and I'll be modding the shit out of it. I'm actually, you know, I got Game Pass Ultimate, but I'm gonna buy that shit on Steam to make sure I can mod it. And you know, you gotta have everything. I know Xbox Game Pass is allowing some games to be modded, but not, you know, like there's still some wonkiness. Like, you know, you can't do script extender and shit like that. Doesn't work with the EXE. Now maybe somebody come up with one that does, and then you'll be able to just play those games without having, you know, you don't need Steam. But as of now, need Steam to do all the full modding, and that's how I'm gonna do Starfield. But yeah, like I said, the people and their self-assurances, they're, you know, they're annoying. Like the console people don't even fucking care about that shit, and the console people, from what I'm seeing, like they don't not play PC because of the price. Because everybody that posted, oh man, yeah, I got an Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever, everybody that's doing that shit, they're buying a fucking LG CX TV or C10, whatever you want to call it. And that's just a $1,500 TV. And the people with PCs, you know, they're like, I'm on a 970. Somebody please send me a 2060 for $200. And, you know, that's not gonna happen. But they're the ones that are fucking, that don't have the money. Like I said, you look at it, and you know, like I said, people that have the good shit, they'll always post. And you know, I gotta post my stuff when I have opinions, like the shit that I've been saying about PC fanboys. I mean, a guy, I posted my setup, you know, it's like, man, because I'm like, you know, I got a 3080 Ti, and I think that this, and this, and then I go like, of course you do. So I posted my picture, you know, I posted a picture of my setup, and then a guy Googled, I guess he Googled the image and found a post at LTT, Linus Tech Tips Forum. And he's like, so stop pretending to be, you're just taking pics from Google. So I told him, I'm like, that's fucking me, idiot. And then I actually logged into that account. I wrote in that thread. I was like, man, there are people in other forums that are stalking me to try to find these, you know, like, say I'm not me. And then I screenshotted that and posted that into the original forum. And then he's like, oh, well, I guess it checks out. But, I mean, what? Yeah, bitch, I got a better PC than most of you all. And I think that your fanboyism is stupid. And I wouldn't want your people, like, I would rather, like I said, if you don't have, I mean, well, obviously, like, if you don't have my PC, at least, you know, my specs, at the very least, I wouldn't want your fucking PC anyway. And then, you know, even compared to a console, like, because when those games get, like, truly optimized, you know, I mean, you'd need at least a 2080 Ti, I would think, at the very least, to try to match what those consoles will do. But, I mean, you know, I obviously, you know, I skipped that. I had the 2070 Super, and you know, because at the time, my PC, you know, requirement was that it had to be much more powerful than the, you know, PS4 and Xbox One, which those were what was out. So it had to be more powerful than that, which was not that hard to do. I could have fucking had a lot weaker system, and it would have been better than that. I could have had fucking goddamn Zen, and I could have had like fucking probably like goddamn 4980K or some shit, Intel, or fucking Ryzen 1600 or some shit with a 970, or fucking Radeon 550 or some shit, and it still probably would have been better than one of those last gen consoles. But, you know, if I had something like that, I wouldn't be acting like I was like my shit, like, oh man, it's still better than a PS5 because I can do some things that those consoles can't do. Okay. So, and like, I'm not even like trying to be cocky about it. Like, oh man, yeah, I got, haha. But like people make you do it. Like I see some of the idiocy of a lot of those posts, and it's like, man, you were stupid. Like you don't get it. And then, I gotta do what I gotta do, which causes people to try to be like, there's no way somebody that owns what you claim to own could have those thoughts. But, I'm like kind of an anti-PC gaming person anyway, because I don't do the same stuff. I don't give a fuck about a first-person shooter. All those games can fuck right off. Real-time strategies can fuck right off. And I use a Logitech K400 Plus, which is, a TV. It's a TV keyboard. It's got a trackpad built into it. I don't even have a fucking mouse. I'm like, all I need to do is move that cursor to a fucking game, and then my Xbox One, Xbox Series, or PS5 controller is gonna be what fucking plays the game that I'm gonna choose. 100% controller. 100. So, yeah, that, I guess that's kind of where it's at. Like, I'm not gonna do any upgrades to the PC until DDR5 is the standard in RAM, and also it has to be better than DDR4, because when there's a new standard, it's not usually as good as the old standard at first. So, like DDR, so like let's say if it's DDR5, something like DDR5 6000, like it's probably not going to be as good as, your DDR 3600, DDR4 3600. So, I would be waiting for that to be good. And, I'd at least want to have maybe 1 or 2 upgrades as far as CPU. Now, graphics cards, as long as it's possible for me to go to Micro Center and have a good chance at getting, the latest graphics card, I'll probably do that. So when 4080 comes out, or 7900s, or 7800, whatever, whatever is the best one to get at the time is the one I'm going to get. And I'll, for each generation, I'll try to do that, unless it's just, because if you had a 1080 Ti, you really didn't need to go 20 series. The only card that made sense to go with was a 2080 Ti, and that still was not like a great value if you had a 1080 Ti. You just got some ray tracing. And, that was early ray tracing, so, if you weren't playing Control, you just really didn't have anything like, okay, well, Control, I got that with ray tracing, it's dope, but that's it. So, yeah. But that is gonna do it for this video. Be back with another topic. Not really sure, because, things are just kind of like, there's not really as much to do in daily activity, like daily life activities or whatever, just because, COVID, like the restrictions are like mostly seeming to be gone within the states here, but there's still just like, I don't want to fucking go anywhere. I just got a vacation, I didn't go anywhere, and I've got another one that I'll be having here shortly, and I still don't want to go anywhere. Like, fuck, I want to, where do I want to go here? Nowhere. So, but we'll see. So, subscribe, comment. If you are a PC fanboy, I know you'll probably have some shit to say, but your PC will probably not be better than mine, so I really don't care. And then, even if you do, good on you for actually being one of the few people that's got a PC that's better than the new consoles, because most of you shit asses don't have one. So, all right, good deal. and bye for now.